Okay, let's start our discussion. 28th July. Last day, we just discussed the Fourier series. It was just a recapitulation of our earlier class in the previous semester. Now we want to see how we can apply this concept of Fourier series and many other things in the field of discrete time signal. So our heading will be Fourier series for a periodic discrete sequence. Okay. Now, first we consider one continuous time signal or analog signal, which is sampled, okay, at an interval of tau. So we get xk, okay. So we can pictorially say that if our xt is a periodic signal, something like this way. So its time period is, so this is our t, and time period is t0. Okay. So we get different samples. Zero tau, 2 tau, 3 tau. So this way we are getting different samples. This way. Now there are n number of samples available per cycle. That is in one t0, one time period. Okay. And sampling interval, or we also call it sampling period, is tau. Then what is our xk? We get different samples. This one, that one, that one. Okay. Just so these are the various samples we are getting. Okay. So it is our k. So it is 0, 1, 2 means 0, then tau, 2 tau, 3 tau, 4 tau, this way. So it is an integral multiple of tau. That is our xk. Okay. Now, what is our t0? There are n samples available per cycle. So it will be, and for one sample we need tau time, tau amount of time. So t0 must be equal to n tau. It's our relation 9. Okay. Now using rectangular rule for integration. What is this? Now what is rectangular rule? Simple. The thing is that you will get enough information on this rectangular rule for integration in the other part of this subject, in the part 1 of this subject, but not now, later. Okay. Still, I am mentioning it in this context. It is simple that the area under the original signal can be approximated as a sum of the area under rectangle. This rectangle, that, these, okay, this way. So you can get it this way. So area under each rectangle, okay, can be found. And then when you add all the areas for all adjacent rectangles, then it will be the area under this signal. That will be the area under the signal. Now, when our tau is becoming smaller and smaller, then this difference between the two area, that is the area under xt and area under xk, they will be more or less same. Normally, in all our practical cases, what happens? Our sampling frequency fs equal to 1 by tau. You know, our sampling frequency is so high that the sampling period tau will be very small, and therefore all the samples will come much closer to each other, and therefore all these areas, these much or this area which is little bit less than the original area, that area, or this area which is somewhat higher than the original area under the signal. So all these discrepancies in the area, that will vanish, almost it will vanish when our tau is progressively small or sampling frequency is progressively high. Nowadays, we are using such a high-speed hardware, okay, that especially after the advent of VLSI technology, VLSI means very large scale integration technology, where within a small area, high density transistors are present within a small amount area of chip, and things are becoming very, very fast. So sampling frequency will be fast, so tau will be pretty small, and the area, these two area will be equal to each other. Okay. So ultimately we can find out the Fourier coefficient, the area under the signal, okay, by adding the area under each rectangles. Okay, and then we can find out the Fourier coefficients. So the Fourier coefficients may be obtained as now a0 equal to 1 by t0 integration 0 to t0 xt dt. It is what? From relation 2. Last day we got the relation 2 where a0 was that. It is the area. When we want to express this area in terms of samples, discrete samples, it will be what? It will be 1 by t0. Then it will be what? It will be x0 into that tau. Okay, x0 is that sample, x0, x1, x2, x3, these are the samples. Okay, so it will be x0 into tau, this, then plus the height is x1 into tau, width of the rectangle, x1 into tau, then x2 is the height of the next rectangle into its width, tau. This way we will get. Ultimately, what is our last sample? 0 to this. So it will be last n minus 1 into tau. So 0 to n minus 1 tau. Because for nth tau, again the first sample will be repeated. So 0 to n minus 1th tau, that is the total number of sample is n, including 0 to n minus 1 tau, it will be total number of sample including 0 will be capital N. So it will be x n minus 1 into tau. So that is this particular, that is the total area, okay, under each rectangle, under all the rectangles. So we can write it will be 1 by t0 summation. We can write xk into tau, and k is varying from 0 to n minus 1. 0 to n minus 1. Or we can write it is, now 1 by t0 means what? We can write it n tau. From relation 9, we can write it is t0 means n tau. Summation xk tau. K is varying from 0 to n minus 1. Now this tau and tau cancels. So ultimately, what is our A0? Our A0 equal to 1 by n summation xk. K is varying from 0 to n minus 1. So that is the value of A0 that we evaluate from the samples. This is our relation 10. So that's how we are calculating our DC component of the Fourier coefficient A0. Clear? So ultimate thing is that the entire function on the under the integral, here t will be replaced by simply k or k tau actually, k tau. So that will be this. So if we follow this technique, okay, then we can find out other coefficients as well. Let's see how. In the next page, I will tell you. Page number 2. If you have any doubt, feel free to ask me anytime. Please interrupt me if you have any question. So we can write similarly from relation 2, we can find out an. An is what? It is 2 by T0. It is the Fourier coefficient that you already got in our last class or in the last semester class also. Xt cos n omega 0 t dt. So it is the area under this composite function. Xt into cosine is the total function, composite function. It is the area under that function. Clear? So now we can find out it that we can write it or simply an equal to 2 by n tau, t0 means n tau, and summation, it will be k is varying from 0 to n minus 1, and xt will be replaced by xk, k x0, x1, x2, and cos of n, then omega 0 means what? 2 pi by t0, okay, omega 0 means 2 pi by t0, and t means what? T equal to k tau. Okay, here actually we are getting these samples that actually what happens here, t equal to actually k tau. Okay, that last day also I discussed. When k equal to 0, t equal to 0. The sample is grabbed at t equal to 0, x0. When k equal to 1, t equal to tau. Okay, so x1 means actually x1 tau. X1 tau. Similarly, k equal to 2 means x2 or x2 tau. This way. So t equal to k tau. Last day also I told the same thing. So this is our n omega 0 t. T is k tau. So this is our, okay, total summation. That is this function. And dt means what? It is the increment in time. Actually, you see here also you'll get a dt. Actually, this dt is what? It is xk into tau. X is replaced by xk and dt is replaced by tau. The width of the rectangle. Dt is the width of the rectangle. So tau. So dt means tau. X is replaced by xt is replaced by xk and dt is replaced by tau. So here also same thing, that dt is replaced by tau. So we are writing 1 more tau. Right? Therefore, our now this tau and that tau, they cancel each other. So it will be 2 by n summation k is varying from 0 to n minus 1. Okay, so it is xk cos n 2 pi by t0 means 2 pi by t0. T0 means n tau into k tau. And this tau vanishes already. Or our an is 2 by n. It is xk. Okay, and that tau and this tau, they cancel each other. So it is cos 2 pi kn by capital N. This. So this is our relation 11, our final relation. That's how we can, from the information of samples, we can find out an. this particular Fourier coefficient, which is the amplitude of cosine term, which is the amplitude of cosine term. Okay. So this is our an. Now, once we know n, okay, and also so we can also find out the coefficient bn. And similarly, from relation 2, I don't want to go through all the steps. Just some salient steps will be mentioned here. Here, just cosine is replaced by sine to calculate bn. You already know. So xt sine n omega 0 t dt. Okay. So here also just bn, I just directly substitute 2 by n tau summation k is varying from 0 to n minus 1. So xk sine n 2 pi by omega 0 means n t0 is n tau, n into omega 0 is 2 pi by t0 is n tau, and t means k tau, and dt means tau. So just I am following the same procedure. I have done it in one step. Okay, or we can write it bn equal to 2 by n summation k is varying from 0 to n minus 1 xk sine 2 pi kn by n. Clear? So actually this third bracket is not required here. We can omit it. So it is relation 12. So you know n and bn. Clear? So it is relation 12. Now we know relation 11 and 12. So what we get? Therefore, what we can get an minus jbn by 2. If we write what is, it is, you know, it is fn bar actually. I'll write it later. So just put the value. So it will be just half into an minus jbn. So 2 will be cancelled out. So it will be simply 1 by n, this minus jbn. So j into that. So it is summation. Okay, here k equal to 0 to n minus 1. Xk is common also. Okay. Then cos, it is a n cos 2 pi kn by capital N minus jbn. bn means the sine term. Sine 2 pi kn by capital N. Clear? Or we can write 1 by n summation k varying from 0 to n minus 1 xk cos theta minus j sin theta is e to the power minus j theta. So e to the power minus j n is taken common, so 2 pi k by capital N, or we can write it inside also, no problem. Okay. But this is what? It is fn bar. So we can write it is fn bar equal to 1 by n summation xk. In the last class also we got it. In the signals and systems class also we got the same thing. So it is we can write minus jn 2 pi k by capital N, k varying from 0 to n minus 1. This is what? This is, okay, called discrete time Fourier series, called discrete time Fourier series, DTFS. Okay, so this is our one relation, DTFS, discrete time Fourier series. So once we know the samples, once we know the time domain samples xk, from these samples, if we know the number of samples per cycle, then by evaluating that mathematical operation, we can find out the discrete time Fourier coefficient fn bar. Okay. Now next thing, from this thing we want to evaluate one more coefficient. So I go to the next page. Okay. Page number 3. Page number 3. So our next topic of discussion will be discrete Fourier transform. Discrete Fourier transform. Now in our last relation we got that fn bar equal to 1 by n into summation something. Okay, so that thing we got already, this one. So this capital N can be taken, just I write it again, just want to show you. What I do, that DTFS, I just take capital N in the left hand side. Just take this in the left hand, N into Fn bar, see what happens. So when I just take it, so it will be N into Fn bar equal to summation k is varying from 0 to n minus 1 xk e to the power minus jn 2 pi k by capital N. Okay. So that is this particular thing. Or now for n equal to 1, 2, 3, this way, for different values of small n, we can write n into Fn bar. Fn bar is what? Fn bar is, we know, n minus jbn by 2, this one, and this is summation, we can write it xk to the power minus jn 2 pi k by capital N. So k is varying from 0 to n minus 1. Okay. This thing we write it as xn, capital Xn. Let we assume that this n into Fn bar equal to xn. And for n equal to 0, what happens? For n equal to 0, we get f0. You put, okay, n equal to 0 or f0. Now f0 equal to, we already know it is 1 by n summation k is varying from 0 to n minus 1 xk to the power minus j, put n equal to 0, 0 into 2 pi k by capital N, or this is e to the power 0 or 1 or 1 by n, so it is xk actually, k is varying from 0 to n minus 1. Okay, this, and this is equal to what? This is equal to a0, already we got it. So this is our a0. This particular, from relation 10 also we got, this is our a0. Get my point? So a0 from relation 10, we got it. Okay, so this is our f0. So we can write hence, okay, n into f0. N into f0 is what? N into f0 is summation xk, k is varying from 0 to n minus 1. And that is equal to x0. Let, we are calling it x0. N into. So our xn is equal to n into fn for all values of n except n equal to 0. And for n equal to 0, it will be n into f0, that is our x0. So basically things are actually summarized, that it is applicable to all values of n. So combining the expressions for expressions of x0 and xn for n equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, all these. Acha, xn. So this is our xn. So it is summation x k e to the power minus j n 2 pi k by capital N, and k is varying from 0 to n minus 1 for all the values actually. Okay, for all the values actually we are getting it. Okay, so just we put x0. It's true for n not equal to 0 and n equal to 0 both. So it is our relation 13 for n equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, all such things. Note that what is the difference between n and k here? K is the order of the samples that we get in time domain. K is the order of the sample. K equal to 0 means one sample at t equal to 0. K equal to 1 means another sample at t equal to tau. K equal to 2 means another sample at t equal to 2 tau, this way. So K is the order of the samples. It's the time domain variable. And small n is the order of the harmonics. Harmonic order. So it is the how much times a particular frequency is the multiples of the fundamental or the f0, that is the fundamental frequency. So it is the n is the order of the frequency. N equal to 1 means fundamental frequency, n equal to 0 means DC component, n equal to 2 means second harmonic, 3 means third harmonic, like that. So n is a frequency domain variable, k is a time domain variable. So we are getting a time domain to frequency domain conversion. A time domain sample, its frequency domain characteristics is found from that relation 13 here. So time to frequency conversion. Okay. So now what happens? Now what is the value of n? The n will go indefinitely from 0 to an indefinite value. So how long the n will be there? N will be extended to, let's see. Now, okay, for small n greater than equal to capital N, we assume now small n is going past n minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to capital N minus 1. Then it will be capital N plus 1, capital N plus 2, capital N plus 3, this way. Now we are taking the value of small n in the range greater than equal to capital N, and we want to see what happens then. So when it is that one, so we write let small n equal to capital N plus m. So for m equal to 0, 1, 2, this way. Now when m equal to 0, our small n equal to capital N. When m equal to 0, small n equal to capital N. When m equal to 1, small n is greater than capital N, that is n plus 1. When m equal to 2, small n equal to capital N plus 2, that is small n is still higher than capital N. So this way, with progressively increasing value of small m, our small n is becoming higher and higher compared to capital N. Get my point? So what happens? We replace small n with capital N plus m here. Therefore, we write x n plus m. Small n is replaced by capital N plus m. So here also it will be xk e to the power minus j, small n is capital M plus m, 2 pi k by capital N, k by n, this way, right? Now I write it in the next page. I write it in the next page, page number 4. Then, so it will be x n plus m equal to summation k equal to 0 to n minus 1 xk e to the power minus j. Now see here, it is now n, j n into that plus m into that. So I'm writing it. So it is e to the power j n into 2 pi k by capital N into e to the power minus j m into 2 pi k by capital N, or it is summation, sorry, e to the power minus j capital N cancels, e to the power j 2 pi k and e to the power minus j m 2 pi k by n. Now this is what? Xk. This is equal to 1. E to the power minus j 2 pi k is what? K is an integer. Cos 2 pi k minus j sin 2 pi k. Cos 2 pi k equal to 1 and sin 2 pi k 0. So ultimately this is 1. So this is equal to 1. So it will be still xk into e to the power minus jm 2 pi k by capital N. In the left hand side, it is still xn plus m. Note that now in this expression, whenever there is a small n, there must have a small n, because this small n, that small n, they are actually the correlated. Now if small n is replaced by m, then it must be also m. For n equal to m, it will be also m. Other thing, there is no other m, n. So if there is a m, what will happen? There is an m, so it will be xm. So that is equal to what? It is, sorry, that is equal to xm, and it is xn plus m. So this is our relation 14. Relation 14. Therefore, what we can say? Therefore, xn is periodic with capital N, because after, so it repeats after capital N. How? Let's see. Say when m equal to the explanation, I write it explanation. For m equal to 0, what happens? Xn equal to x0. For m equal to 1, what happens? Xn plus 1 equal to x1. For m equal to 2, it is xn plus 2 equal to x2. This way it will go on. Therefore, when we write xn, we can write it, it is a set of xn is a frequency domain coefficient. It is some coming from the order of the harmonic. The function of n, x, capital X0, capital X1, capital X2, is a frequency domain coefficients. Okay, so for different values of n, we get what? X0 it is the DC component, X1 corresponding to fundamental, second harmonic corresponding to third harmonic, up to xn minus 1, then xn, then xn plus 1, xn plus 2. Okay, these will go on. Okay, these will go on that way. Or we can write it what? x0, x1, x2, x3, xn minus 1. After that, what will happen? Xn means what? Xn means x0. So we can replace it with x0. Xn plus 1 means what? X1. Xn plus 2 means we can write it x2. So same thing will repeat. So these will be the, so you see that how many frequency terms are present here? 0 to capital N minus 1. Only capital N number of frequency terms are present. Only capital N number of discrete frequency terms are present. All other frequency terms are simply the repetition. It is the repetition of these amounts. So they are periodically coming, x0, x1, x2, x3, x4, xn minus 1. They are coming periodically. So it is the periodicity actually found. This is quite amazing because we know in an analog signal or continuous time signal, in an analog periodic signal or continuous time periodic signal, how many frequencies are present? Theoretically, infinite number of frequencies are present. N equal to 0 to infinity. Infinite number of frequency terms or the infinite number of harmonics may be present. But here we are getting a finite amount of frequency terms. And not only that, in the time domain, how many samples we have collected per cycle? We have collected n samples per cycle. Clear? And in frequency domain also, harmony, how many harmonics we have got? Capital N number of harmonics. So number of time samples and number of frequency samples or harmonics, they are same. Both are equal to capital N. So if we collect 100 samples per cycle, then amount of discrete frequency will be 100, 0 to 99. 0 to 99. So 100 harmonics will be calculated. All other harmonics above 100 will be just the repetition of the previous harmonics. So there are finite number of harmonics coming for a discrete time signal. Now you can ask why such thing happens. Why we don't get infinite number of frequency terms? Why the number of time domain sample is equal to the number of frequency domain samples? The answer is simple. If you follow thoroughly the case of time domain signal, you will get also same thing. For a time domain signal, for a time domain continuous time signal, how many samples do you get in one cycle? Since it is a continuous time signal, between any 2 points, there are infinite number of points for a continuous time signal, we know, because these are continuous variable. So between any 2 points, there are infinite number of points present. So in one time period, there are infinite number of values or samples present for a continuous time signal. As there are infinite number of time samples present for a continuous time signal just in one cycle, then the amount of frequency present will also be infinity. So there are infinite number of harmonics. So there is nothing to be amazed, to be surprised at all. In a discrete time signal, the time samples are not infinite, they are finite. They are n only, capital N. That's why in frequency domain also we get capital N number of frequency samples present. If for a continuous time signal, a capital N tends to infinity. That's why time samples are of infinite in number in one cycle, and frequency samples or harmonics are also infinite in number for analog signal. Okay, so that is the concept of the periodicity of harmonics, periodicity of the frequency coefficients we find. Okay, this is there. Okay, therefore it is sufficient to calculate the relation to 13. Therefore it is sufficient to calculate relation 13, okay, just in one cycle. Just in one cycle. So we can write, therefore it is sufficient to calculate relation 13 just, okay, by an amount equal to n equal to 0 to n minus 1. 0 to n minus 1. Clear? Therefore, I want to rewrite relation 13 as relation 15. That will be our final expression. So it's page number 5. So you can write hence. So therefore, whatever may be, our xn equal to xk to the power minus jn 2 pi k by capital N. K is varying from 0 to n minus 1. Okay. So this is relation 15. Relation 15. Relation 15, okay, is known. And okay, you have to write one more thing. For n equal to 0, 1, 2 up to n minus 1. So that is the modification. Only up to capital N minus 1 term. Relation 15. Relation 15 is known as the discrete Fourier transform, DFT, of a finite sequence xk, k equal to 0, 1, 2 up to n minus 1. So note that in time domain also there are capital N number of samples, in frequency domain also capital N number of samples. Xn is the discrete Fourier coefficient and it is discrete Fourier transform DFT. Okay. This is also called the endpoint DFT. Xn is the endpoint DFT of xk. Endpoint means n number of samples, both in time domain and frequency domain. Okay. Now note that our relation 14. What is relation 14? Our relation 14 Cx n plus m equal to xm. So put m equal to 0, it will be what? X capital N equal to x0. So our capital Xn repeats. It is a repetitive version of x0. Okay. So Xn repeats at nth harmonic. So you see that our Xn repeats at nth harmonic because x capital N is equal to x0. So we can write therefore that our relation 14, okay, so relation 14, okay, represents the periodicity property of DFT. Xn repeats at the nth harmonic. So Xn repeats at the nth harmonic, the periodicity property. The frequency, what is the frequency corresponding to nth harmonic? The frequency corresponding to nth harmonic is n times the fundamental. Okay. So it is f0 means it is n by t0. T0 is the time period of the signal. So n by n tau or 1 by tau or fs, the sampling frequency. So nth harmonic means sampling frequency. So we can write as xn repeats with n, it repeats with the frequency nf0, that is at the sampling frequency fs, at the sampling frequency fs. There. Now how the amplitude of the harmonic is related to xn? Now how is the amplitude of harmonic, that is Cn, related to xn? Okay, we can get it. We can find out it using just see relation 3. See the relation 3. Just I want to show you relation 3. This is in our last class. Relation 3 means xt equal to c0 plus cn cosine. So it's a Fourier cosine series. Cn is the amplitude of the harmonics. Okay. From relation 3, what we get? C0 equal to F0. Okay, C0 equal to F0. Okay, and F0 equal to A0, obviously. You already get it. And I write it in the next page. Page number 6. And Cn C0 equal to F0 equal to A0 and X0 equal to NF0. NF0. Where we got it? This one. X0 equal to NF0. From this relation, F0 or A0 equal to, so we call it NF0 is X0. So X0 equal to NF0. Hence, what we can write? Now F0 equal to C0. So it is NC0. Therefore, our C0 equal to, we can write X0 by N. X0 by N. Clear? Again, now we see our another relation, relation 6. Relation 6 here you see. Say Cn equal to 2Fn. Cn equal to 2Fn. So again from relation 6. Okay, Cn equal to 2 into mod of Fn. Okay, also we know mod of Xn is what? Our Xn equal to Nfn. Say our Xn, this one, Xn equal to Nfn. Today we started with that particular thing, Xn equal to Nfn. So mod of Xn equal to N into mod of Fn bar. So it is Xn equal to mod of Xn equal to N into mod of Fn bar. Okay. Hence, Cn equal to 2 into, now Fn bar, here we can write it. So we can write Fn bar equal to mod of Xn bar by N. We put it here. So 2 into mod of Xn bar, no bar not required, just mod I am writing because I didn't put any bar previously. That's why. This. Okay. So finally, summarizing, we get what? We get C0 equal to mod of X0 by N. This relation, the average value or the DC component, and Cn equal to 2 by N into mod of Xn for N equal to 1, 2, 3, this way. So it is this is the relation, it is relation number 16. Here, I want to advise you, please make a lot of practice of deriving these things. Okay, without taking help. কিছুটা প্র্যাকটিস তোমাদের করতে হবে পুরো ব্যাপারটা গ্রিপে আসার জন্য। কেন গ্রিপে আসার জন্য? তার কারণ দুটো কারণে। এক হচ্ছে এবারে এমন হতেই পারে, এবারে সেমিস্টারে আমি তোমাদের বলছি যে ক্লাসগুলো অনলাইনে হলেও পরীক্ষাটা কিন্তু অফলাইনে হতে পারে, চান্স আছে। হয়তো আমরা একদিনে বেশি পরীক্ষা ফেলবো না, দূরে দূরে পরীক্ষাগুলো রাখা হবে, অনেক এক একটা ঘরে অনেক কম থাকবে, বিরাট ভাবে ছড়িয়ে করা হবে। একদিনে হয়তো মোটে একটা সাবজেক্টই হবে, বেশি পরীক্ষা হবে না। মানে সোশ্যাল ডিস্টেন্সিং মেনটেন করে যেভাবে করার, হয়তো সেটা করা হতে পারে সমস্ত রকম ভাবে। ফলে তোমরা এবারে আর বাড়ি বসে পরীক্ষা নাও দিতে পারতে পারো, যদি না সিচুয়েশন ওয়ার্সেন করে। আর সেকেন্ড রিজনটা অবশ্য একটু বেশি অ্যাবস্ট্রাক্ট হয়ে যাবে বললে, সেটা হচ্ছে যে যদি নিজেরা প্র্যাকটিস না করো তাহলে পুরোটা গ্রিপে আসবে না। যাই হোক, so that's all about our so from DFT coefficients we can calculate the amplitude of the harmonics. Okay, and one more thing you see here, if you see relation 15, it is a time to frequency conversion. If we know time domain samples, we can evaluate the frequency domain coefficients. But is the reverse possible, that if we know capital Xn, can we find out the time domain sample Xk? That is frequency to time conversion. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible, but not today, because if I start today, I cannot finish. It should be finished in one day, everything. So tomorrow we have a class, I think, or not, Saturday, right? So Saturday we'll take this class where we'll see how from Xn we can get back our Xk. That is a reverse direction manipulation. So with this, I want to stop today. Any query, anything to say? No. Okay, then we leave. Stop.